We're going.
Sit up straight. Well, that was nice. Team on me, team on three. Welcome back to the Second Intro podcast where the entire pool booth is open. I'm Josiah.
I'm Jacob.
Eli.
I'm Hayden.
And for those of you who like to listen to audio only, the link for the Spotify will be in the description.
All right. Real smooth.
But he's out of practice.
Not to derail this, I meant to ask this before. I wasn't able to open your parlay last night, so this is no hate if it didn't do well, but I'm just curious what it was. And
Well,
Was Tyrese in it? Because I heard they were doing refunds.
Tyrese
Right.
went down, so the parlay was immediately cooked.
Gotcha.
I had Tyrese 20 plus points in that parlay for like plus 300 odds. He was already at 9 points.
Yeah.
Like, whenever he got hurt, he was on fire.
The Pacers were going to win last night.
Yeah.
They were.
As a non-basketball person, it was crazy this series because, like, Oklahoma City felt like the better team for all 7 games, and the fact that it got to a game 7 was
Yeah.
just like
Yeah, it
crazy.
just felt like everybody was like, I had put money on the Thunder last night because it was like the whole series. I don't watch the NBA, but it's like the whole series. It was just like Thunder are gonna win it, and then the Pacers would sneak in a game, and it was just kept going back and forth.
I
Or they won
typically-
game 1 even.
Yeah, I typically go underdogs in NBA because, again, I'm similar where, like, I don't watch it religiously, but, like, I said to Hunter, our friend, our mutual friend, because he's an OKC fan, I was like, listen, dude, like, I have more invested in the OKC side because he's an OKC fan, not a fan of the Pacers or them, but I was like, I feel like it's OKC, I feel like it's Pacers in 7, is what I said before the season's even started, the series.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Dude,
I'm struggling so hard with my words. Before the series started, before game 1 of this series, I said I feel like it's Pacers in 7, and I feel like last night it would have been Pacers in 7 if Tyrese didn't go down. So,
Yeah.
Now, basically all 2026 is derailed too.
Yeah.
2025, 26 season.
They
Like,
say Tatum's gonna be back by next season, right?
If he comes back, it'll be for playoffs only.
he'll
He's
be
not playing in
rushed.
the regular
That's
season.
so fast.
And then even if he does come back, you come back like even when you first come back from an Achilles, you're just not the same. It takes a whole other season. Like
Like
For him to
Rodgers
come back.
this season when he looked like an all-star at the end of the.
The hot topic has been the fact that we saw 3 Achilles injuries in the NBA playoffs. Should they shorten it to 5 games? Naples, you're the basketball guy. What do you think?
no,
Yeah,
I mean
I'm
injuries
a
happen.
purist with sports. Like,
Injuries happen. I think what's unique with all of those guys, and now they got hurt, they all were playing with an already injured, like whether it wasn't like calf or like whatever it was, like they were playing already injured, putting more stress on it,
Yeah.
and then you see that injury happen. So like, yeah, it's kind of on them, but also at the same time, like if you're in the playoffs, you're not gonna not play for your team. You're
Or
not
you
gonna
get
not give it
dogged.
all, right?
Yeah. It's a lose-lose for them. They
Yeah.
choose not to play for their health, and they get dogged in the media.
Yeah.
And then us,
And-
us in
yeah.
the media.
Yeah.
You know.
yeah, you know.
And
You
if
know?
they, yeah, and then if they
Yeah,
do
but-
play and they do get hurt, it's like wow.
Yeah.
But
It's like,
I think there's a line between getting the media that isn't really dogging people for not playing because of health. They're dogging people because of load management and them literally just not playing when they're healthy.
Well,
like
I
I'm
mean-
not saying that wouldn't lead to injuries, but I think it's a joke. I think
Well,
load management has gotten to be.
yeah,
I don't think
I
there should be
agree.
rules against
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I don't want the league to say you
Yeah,
have to
yeah.
play. I think that's ridiculous.
Mhm.
But I do think load management is a bit of a joke.
Yeah, I think it's a
Yeah,
bit
I agree.
excessive at times, but like to go back to your point, like basically like all of the Cavs players who were sitting out games in the playoffs were all getting criticized by the media because they're like, you know, you guys are playing a pace team, like you guys are down in the series, like why aren't you guys out there? Like, you know, whether it was Mobley or Garland or Mitchell, like who all missed games, like they all got slashed by the media because they weren't like playing
I
for
don't know.
It's one of those things where you're going to get criticized no matter what
Yeah,
you do. It's the
exactly.
same thing at the end of the NFL season where, do you rest versus rust? Whatever actually ends up happening is going to be the right decision. If
But
you rest the
imagine a
guys,
rest versus rust in week 3.
oh no, I agree for the NBA, but just from a totality in sports thing, like
Yeah. And as far as like shortening either the season or like series in the playoffs, it's like the things that people like about the NBA is the fact that like all these guys have like 40-inch verticals and they're freaks of nature. Like, so you can't take that part out of it because that's what makes it exciting. And then in a non-contact sport, which basketball kind of is when you think about how it's played, right? It's like it's kind of a non-contact sport. You can't take away the thing that makes it exciting, which is 7-game series, right? It's like people love to see, hey, it's 3-1. I'm going to watch Game 5, even though it's 3-1, in case they come back, right?
Yeah.
Like LeBron did in 2016, right? It's like I feel like those are the things that make basketball exciting, and if you take it away, I feel like it's not the dog on baseball, but it's gonna be like baseball where they're just struggling to get these ratings.
Well, now baseball is all we have.
Yeah.
There's like 80 something days till the end. Yeah,
I
the
don't
one
even
person in America.
Eli's
who
like, that's
feels
all I
that
have
way.
anytime. So
Tigers'
100
best record in baseball,
167 games,
162.
62.
I mean, Shohei's trying to pitch again, so at least there's that.
He had a scoreless inning the other day. I think yesterday.
But I mean, if he gets hurt, there goes.
Oh yeah, there goes him. Now he just has to hit homers.
Well, I mean, what if he gets hurt where he can't hit either?
I mean, that hasn't happened yet. Well, anybody could get hurt.
Yeah. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I feel like it's almost like a pre-trial run to the Travis Hunter experiment. So, obviously, not exactly the same, but it'll be interesting. So, Josie, you kind of mentioned it, and we're going to revert back a little bit. Obviously, this is our first show on a Monday, and we're going, on season 3 of doing this? Just crazy.
Yeah.
Seems like just yesterday. Like, I was at a wedding with Luke, and like we were talking. Like, it just feels like we've been doing it for maybe a year.
Yeah.
Like, we're going on our 3rd year.
Yeah.
That's
nuts.
crazy.
That is crazy.
Episode 69, by the way. Nice. Yeah. Eli, who was our player? Who was our player? Shout out.
Brian Arnfelt.
All right, we gotta find him on social media and tag him.
Did you ever hear about the
Never changed
story?
the size on social media.
The story about Gronk playing high school basketball. His team had 69 points, and he intentionally missed a free throw to keep it at 69 points.
$5 to
Shout out
whoever
Gronk.
can say where he's from. He's in Minnesota, Lake Blank, and it's Lake, and then it's a name of a famous character. I'll say Lake Blake, Minnesota. $5.
Blake.
Lake Blank.
Oh, I think it's
And
like
it's a
Blake.
lake,
Mike, you
but
told us
I
what.
probably did say that. Honestly.
Lake Barney.
Barney, it's pretty good.
Lake. Lake Brianna.
Okay.
A character?
Lake
Okay.
Trump.
Blake Trump.
Barney's on the right path.
Lake Mickey.
You already had
Littlefoot.
Guess.
Lake Littlefoot.
Guess Lake Mickey.
I'll guess Lake Mickey.
You want another guess? Instead of Rihanna.
Instead of
Instead of
Rihanna.
Rihanna. It's not Rihanna.
Lake Taylor Swift.
Lake Queen Elizabeth.
Lake Elmo.
Elmo.
Go on.
Yeah, I guess Barney was close. I was trying to think. I was thinking the dinosaur thing. That's why I said Littlefoot. So from Land Before Time.
With it being Monday shows, we have a little bit of finagling of the staff. A little bit. Me, Eli, and Naples will still be regulars. Josie will finally get some much-deserved rest. He will be rotating with a new staff member, Hunter, who we've been trying to get on for basically 3 years.
He's gotta be. Oh, he's on draft.
He's been on a couple like special stuff, but like,
He's never been on the actual live
and
show.
he's been somebody since like the beginning, which is actually how Naples got on. Naples talked to Josie like, "Hey, have me on," and then he became an
The staple.
actual
He
member.
made himself essential.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like he worked during COVID.
Hunter
Essential
was
worker.
Hunter was right there at the beginning saying, "I want on." The difference between Naples found a way on. Hunter
Yeah.
didn't find a way on.
We started working Tuesday nights up front, so that's
Yeah.
why he.
So, Hunter and Josie, they're going to be on a rotating basis. Seemingly every week we'll most likely have at least one of them. Me, Naples, Eli. And then Cooper, if you were wondering if he even still does the podcast, he still likes being on the group chat and everything, but
He's gonna have a minor role.
yeah,
in the
he,
podcast moving forward.
yeah,
So.
he's on a trial basis now. He's on a trial.
It's a trial.
Yeah, we'll see. He
He'll
might
be a case by case.
he might be back for the regular season. We'll see. We teased it last week to get to the actual football. I was hoping we reached the double digit mark for the second week, or second episode in a row of finagling, because that's canoodling with one another. I feel like that's the sign of a good podcast, if you can just canoodle and not actually talk about what you're
If
supposed
Christian was here, I'd be stroking his shoulder.
to. Did we congratulate
Don't do that.
Christian last episode?
I don't think it happened by last episode.
No.
Christian's engaged.
Ooh, thank you for your service.
So, Christian's
RIP.
engaged.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Do we have any
Congrats.
other exciting news on the podcast that we want to share, or not yet? No? All right, so top 100 players.
Just dive right in.
Yeah, we did numbers 100 through 91, and if you didn't listen last episode, we're basically doing this because the NFL's top 100 sucks. this list was a complete consensus of us four. Me, Naples, and Josie worked on the first 55 or 50, something like that. And then me and Eli did the rest, with Naples and Josie both having other engagements. So we did numbers 100 through 91. We loved how many big boys we got. It was kind of fun to have Cooper on because Cooper's the only one out of the team that had no say in any of this. So like kind of seeing his reaction.
Objective view.
Yeah. And he thought Jalen Hurts should be a lot higher, but not a lot. Like
So
Penny said.
70,
Yeah.
70,
But even like,
Jalen Hurts at 90. It's pretty criminal.
well, let's
Super
get
Bowl
into it.
MVP.
Andrew Thomas, 100. 99, Colton Miller. 98, the aforementioned Jalen Hurts. 97, Dion Dawkins. 96, Quinn Manierrez. 95, Tyler Smith. 94, the ageless Bobby Wagner. 93, Nick Benito. 92, DJ Moore. And then 91, Nnamdi, formerly Justin Matabuke. And Naples, since you were the one who wasn't here last time, and number 90 is a player close to your heart, I kind of want you to kick things off with our 90th player. Do you have it up?
We're talking about a consummate pro, an Iron Man, someone who's just gonna, go in there, do his job, not complain.
But
Joel Batonio.
longest tenured Brown.
Yep, he's been
By a
there.
long shot.
He's
2014.
2014.
He's
Same year as
been
Johnny
there,
Manziel and Justin
Been there
Gilbert.
through the tried and true. He's seen it all, the highs, the lows, everything. Man, he was there with the Hoff, Joe Thomas. He learned from a lot of great linemen before him, and he's carried on the torch. That's all the Browns really had going for them for a while, is how good their O-line is.
Naples, I want to kick it up right there. So we mentioned 2014. Joel Batonio. So 2014, let's take you back to the Browns. The Browns were actually really good. The AFC North was the best division in football that year by a mile. The Killer Bees were in their prime. The Ravens still had Joe Flacco and T. Sizzle. The Bengals had Andy Dalton and A.J. Green. The Browns had Brian Hoyer, and they were in the playoff hunt till deep December. They would obviously turn to Johnny Manziel. Things wouldn't work out there. 2014, really good year.
Yeah.
2015, terrible year. Guess who was on their offensive line in both 2014 and 2015? Joe Thomas, first ballot Hall of Famer, as Naples already said. Joel Batonio, a guy who, probably not first ballot, but he should get in at some point. Center, another guy who has a Hall of Fame case, in Alex Mack. Right guard, John Greco, solid. Right tackle is Mitchell Schwartz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Browns were good in 2014. In 2015, they were awful.
Yeah.
Because that was the last year of the Mike Penn tenure. They had 4 Pro Bowl, All-Pro caliber players on the offensive line, with the 5th guy in John Greco also being solid, and they were still awful. I just like, as much as we love offensive line, I always think that's kind of funny.
If you don't have a quarterback, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. The fun Joel Batonio stat that I like, that I used a while back. So,
Hey, Naples, put some respect on Josh McCown, man. Josh McCown could sling it.
No.
fact check if you want, but I'm pretty sure that this is the exact stat. So prior to the playoff game where Ben lost to the Browns, the previous time to that he had lost to the Browns when he started the football game was Joel Batonio's rookie season in 2014. Was the last time that Ben lost to the Browns.
Well, so it would have been in Cleveland.
I believe so.
Because the week 1 was in Pittsburgh, and that was the Antonio Brown Spencer Lanning game. Where
Did the Browns win that game?
no, the Steel 27 to 10.
Right.
Travis Benjamin, I'm such a weird loser. Travis Benjamin scored the 1 touchdown.
Yeah.
Le'Veon Bell had like a buck something,
Because RG3 played close to the Steelers in that one end of the season game, but Mason Rudolph started
and that was
because Ben didn't play.
2016 was RG3
But
Cleveland.
that was
year.
probably the closest one that I can remember. But again, Ben didn't even play at that time.
Trying to, yeah.
But
It was one of
kinda
those
crazy
years.
that like Joe Batonio was the only player on both wins over Ben, and he was a rookie in the first one. So.
Yeah, I loved, and Josie, you know I love old players coming back for one more. Joel Batonio coming back, he was one that I really, because he's not a guy hanging on like a Mercedes Lewis or a Jason Peters. He's a guy who's still playing at a Pro Bowl level each and every year. Top 10 guard for sure. Eli,
Top 10 guard of all time, or currently in the NFL?
currently,
Yeah.
probably close to
I
all
would say
time.
close. I don't know if I'd
There's
go
some of
top
those
10, but,
guys
yeah.
like
Yeah, there's.
That's like 60
Like,
years worth.
It wouldn't take us long to probably name 10 guards that have more notoriety in the Hall of Fame resume than maybe
Yeah.
10, but it's close. It's not way off.
And I would say that he should definitely get in, but my thing is if Marshall Yonda's not a first ballot Hall of Famer, that it's clear it's so hard for a lineman to get in.
He's
Whether
at least
it's
a Hall of Very Good and a Ring of Honor for the Browns player,
Yeah.
like at the very least.
Oh yeah.
and I want him in Kansas. Number 89, I'm going to take over because this is one of my boys. I've loved him forever. Detroit fans, I promise you, you have two good safeties. One of them has gotten paid. The one who got paid this year in Kirby Joseph isn't the best on the team now. Brian Branch is a certified baller. And he started off his first game of his career picking off Patrick Mahomes and taking it all the way. This is the guy who reminded me a lot of Minkah Fitzpatrick coming out. Very versatile, can play corner. Ideally, though, you want him inside with the slot or as the deep safety. Great ball skills, just tremendous. He's a kind of a sleeper for Defensive Player of the Year. Huge fan of his. So,
Yeah, you wanted him over JPJ, if I remember correctly.
I wanted him. I wanted Christian Gonzalez.
Gonzalez.
There's a lot of people I wanted, and that's one where that's so far. I have a lot of cold takes. That's one where I was dead on so far. But another Bama guy.
Dog.
No.
But you can't go wrong with Bama DB. Like, I'm trying to think of one off the top of my head that was a bust. Like,
I can think of one, and even that's a stretch. I would say Cyrus Jones. He was the former punt returner, second round pick for the Patriots.
yeah.
But
yeah.
I mean, even that's a second rounder. Like first round, you have the Minkas, you have the Marlon Humphreys
Yes,
of the
he went
world.
to Bama, right?
Who?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Surtain.
Patrick Surtain. Trevon Diggs was Alabama too,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, he was. I mean, partially because of his brother's name. Like, his brother did so good after being at Maryland that he
I mean,
probably played a role in him getting to Bama. So,
whoever works. I mean,
yeah.
Talia Tungavailoa was a Bama quarterback once upon a time. So, but, I don't know any other thoughts on
I
Brian?
mean, we talk about
He's a dog.
Bama DB's hitting so well, and he fell pretty far too in that draft.
Yep.
Like I think a lot of people were kind of waiting for him late first round, especially as a college football fan. It's like wondering why he's sliding.
Him and Joey Porter available in the second round was a
Right.
little bit of a surprise.
He,
We're in like a 4.58 40, which maybe had a little bit to do with it.
Mhm.
Not the best 40 time, but yeah, I just remember watching him slide and thinking, oh my goodness, here come the Eagles. They're probably going to get him and sweep in, and then it ended up being the Lions.
They took Nolan Smith with that pick.
Nolan Smith was the first round. They had two first rounders that
Yeah.
year. Jalen
Yeah.
Carter, who they traded up a
Yep.
pick to get,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
Nolan Smith.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I think a lot of people had Brian Branch mocked to the Steelers. Maybe not like closer to the draft, but early on, right
Mhm.
after everything. So, but I mean, as soon as they passed on him,
Eli, you're the biggest college football fan out of all of us. Is Bama DBU, or would you still give it to LSU?
LSU just has the classics.
It's Ohio State's DBU.
Yeah, right.
It's FSU. Let's be
Sean
honest.
Wade. I think LSU just has such a nostalgic play because like Tyrann Mathieu is like
Wearing number 7.
right, and Peterson. It's like the guy I grew up watching. That's like holy crap, a defender can really change this game this much. His punt return for a touchdown in the SEC championship. Like it's hard to say not LSU, but like with the coming of age, it's Bama. You know?
I mean, we mentioned some Bama guys, some LSU guys, Tyrann Mathieu and Patrick Peterson, which those are two of my favorite NFL players of all time. Grant Delpit, a more recent one, Tre'Davious White, Morris Claiborne, one of the ones who didn't work out, first rounder for the Cowboys. But yeah,
Bama's just.
I would put
they're
Ohio
just
State at 3, though, wouldn't you? Or
But
you
like,
still
it's
gonna-
just tough. Like when you got Akuda going 3 overall, and it's like
We talking
I
about time
loved Akuda.
Yeah.
We talking because
That's
like
just
you talking
I
about
don't-
Deion Sanders and Jalen Ramsey from FSU.
Yeah.
Like Azariah Thomas came out this year. He could be good. Like he seems to be
Yeah.
good.
And I feel like we're still missing a couple.
I think it's
too.
LSU
Yeah.
Bama gap.
But
I
LSU,
think
another one,
it's
Jamal
LSU.
Adams.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Ryan
it's
Clark,
LSU
like-
Bama
Yeah.
gap.
Yeah. I'd say, but if you're talking about like just top end talent, like I mean, it's hard
That
to
might
beat
be-
FSU with the
That
talent
might be
of those
something that I
two,
want us to
like-
look into as a
Yeah.
group,
Mhm.
coming up with position use. Because
Yeah.
and like actually think because
I mean,
you
tight
could
end,
do
everybody
Bama,
knows it's
Iowa.
correct, but Penn
It's
State's
Iowa and Penn State.
Penn
It's Iowa
State's
and
right
Penn State,
there,
both.
like-
But that's another one where
Wide
it's like
receiver use Ohio State, and it's not close.
I mean, yeah. I mean, that's somewhat recent.
It's not
I just
close.
say,
Bama.
like,
You could just say Bama.
you could say Bama for every position, really.
say the same thing for Ohio State.
Coordinator you.
Except for
I don't
Coordinator
see
you.
I don't see the Ohio State DB thing just yet.
No, I don't actually think Ohio State's the best DBs, but definitely wide receivers.
We could do
But
a position you, but you're not allowed to
Chris Carter
use
went
the
to Ohio
same
State.
group twice.
Say it again.
You're not allowed to.
Yeah.
So like Bama would only be able to
Like
use.
the tight end thing, it's the same thing where it's like Iowa's.
Penn
kinda
State
like
has a
the
tight end in
lead.
the second or third round every single
Every
year.
single
It's
year.
kind of it's getting ridiculous.
They almost had one in the top 10 this year.
Yeah,
Almost.
almost.
My bank account would have liked that. Yeah. All right, back to the list. Number 88, we have a guy who we're kind of split on as a pod. Naples is definitely lower on him. Me and Josie are pretty high, though, I think. Eli, I'm not quite sure where you stand. Devontae Adams. And I'm of the mindset that this guy's still probably a top 10 wide receiver. I think he quietly had a 1,000-yard season last year and two dysfunctional organizations. I think if healthy, I'm huge on the Rams and I'm huge on Devontae Adams. I think that even though Puka Nakua is the number one, I wouldn't be surprised if Devontae Adams has a better stat line this year
He's had two 997-yard seasons.
at the very beginning of his peak. But he had double-digit touchdowns in both those years, right?
Well,
2016,
5 and-
2017?
5 and 19. He only played 12 games, but still 997, 5 touchdowns.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm a big Devontae guy. I think that Devontae's play style, as much as you can, transcends age. Like, being a good route runner, getting open, like, having
Strong
some speed.
hands.
That stuff transcends. That's why D-Hop's still playing in the league. Like, it's just, it's those things
Well, and
that,
that's
like,
another thing I think people, like, D-Hop is a one-trick pony at this point in his career
he's
with the
best
speed.
hands in the league.
Correct. But Devon, unless it's in the
He's a
Super
back
Bowl.
shoulder fade jump ball guy.
Yeah. But Devontae Adams still has the speed to create separation, which is the things that D-Hop and
And his
other guys
athleticism
his age.
coming out of the combine was insane. Like I've told you guys the story. I don't know if I've ever said it on here. I went to the preseason game where it was It was the Packers versus Steelers. It was the preseason game that Jordy Nelson tore his ACL and missed the season, which gave Devontae the chance to like get reps because Jordy Nelson was out the whole season. And I was sitting in we had front seats because it's preseason, they're cheap. We're sitting in the
Oh,
front,
we know you're rich. It's okay.
and in the warm ups,
$25 for this front row.
in the warm ups before the game, I'm guessing it was Rodgers. I don't remember, but he was throwing a back shoulder fade in the back of the end zone, and Devontae jumped, and it's like this dude was flying. I think he had like a 41-inch vertical at the combine or something insane like that. Like Devontae Adams has always been an athletic freak, and then he worked on the things that you need to work on to be a top receiver: the route running, the precision, the hands. Like
What do you
Devontae
think-
Adams is the whole package in my opinion.
What do you
So-
think his top 100 has been? Top 10 for
Like in
sure.
the actual
No,
top
I
100?
don't know that he's ever been top 10, dude.
Really?
I'm sure one of those.
I mean, there was definitely a point in time where he was probably the best
You know
receiver
what?
in the league.
Can you?
Did he get
More or
99?
less.
Comparatively?
Was he ever in
Yeah.
99?
Say it again.
I said there's definitely a time where he was the best receiver in the league. Now he did play in an era where like there was a lot of like people that you could say.
I feel like it was like
But there was
almost the
definitely at least-
transformation from AB Julio, and then it was kind of him and Tyreek,
Yeah.
and now it's like the Jamar Jettis. I
So,
feel
like
like
there was definitely at least 1 or 2 years where he was like people were like, oh, he's number one. I just think at this point in his career, I'm not like. There's just so many other guys that I'm like, oh, these guys are like.
going back to there's 35 top 10
Yeah,
wide receivers.
exactly.
All right, I'm seeing here Devontae Adams has been 57, 45, 13, 40, and then the season that he went to the Raiders. So the season where he went from the Packers to the Raiders. So judging
2
from the
seasons
previous
ago.
season, 2022, he was ranked 7th. So that is his peak. But he had one teen and then some 30s and 45, 57. So like his peak was top 10 in the top 100.
I saw something on TikTok. Despite NFL media trying to erase Antonio Brown's existence, he was up to number 3, I believe, one year.
Yep, I remember that. Yeah, because I was really hoping he was going to be top 2.
Which is
I was really
crazy.
pulling for it.
They had Cup 4, so second best receiver on their list.
Mm.
That one Cooper Cup season was
Mm.
magic. Won me some money in
That was
fantasy.
Matthew Stafford's first season with the Rams.
Yup.
Mm-hmm.
Triple
Which-
crown.
I mean, to have it full circle, if you ask Devontae Adams, he went from Hall of Fame quarterback to Hall of Fame quarterback to Hall of Fame quarterback. Going back to his comments
Jimmy
regarding
Garoppolo.
Derek Carr.
Jimmy Garoppolo.
Oh, well, that's true. I guess there was one non-Hall of Fame quarterback in there
Somebody
with Jimmy G. But next up, we have a guy who I'm curious if to know if Eli has any stories from watching his college days, if he remembers anything back to the Big Ten. Zach Bond, and this is a guy that Naples really pushed for, and I really like him. But 1 year in out of 5 years, seemingly playing out of position in New Orleans as an situational pass rusher, special teamer. He moves to off-ball linebacker, and he was the best off-ball linebacker in football last year. So,
You see, I like that point of like the Wisconsin, the memories. But when you play Wisconsin, you got 3 white linebackers that are all very good. That like
unless your name's Watt, it's
Right,
hard to
TJ
stand out.
TJ stood out.
Herbig.
right, especially in the Big Ten championship game against Penn State. Penn State didn't play them a ton when Bond was
Iowa.
there, maybe once or twice, but it was like
Jack Sanborn, though. Wisconsin's in the running for linebacker.
yeah, but they're like
Low end.
Where'd
like the
Where'd Jack
linebackers
Campbell
that
go?
you love but aren't going to be great in the NFL.
Jack Campbell, where'd he go?
What up, Jack Iowa?
Iowa too. Okay,
Big
that's
Ten,
yeah,
baby.
Yeah, I mean, Iowa, Wisconsin linebackers, like you could,
Yeah.
I love them, but it's like, and then it's like, do you call TJ a linebacker, that type of stuff, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this was like partly a struggle pick if we're being honest, because we wanted. It's tough for us to get off-ball linebackers in this, but so it's so hard to compare an off-ball linebacker to an edge rusher. I do like this. I think he deserves to be in the top 100, but I just wanted to point out that like that is something that we were thinking about throughout. Is like how many off-ball linebackers are worthy of it because they're just not valued enough.
I think
Was
we
he
finished.
green, was he green dot for the
I
Eagles?
believe so. I think we
Okay,
finished
that's
with
something.
4 off-ball linebackers,
Yeah.
and like I said, I think we would be unanimous. He was the best off-ball linebacker last year. With that said, who's better, him or Fred Warner, him or Roquan Smith?
Roquan
Yeah.
But I don't know, Naples. Do you want to add anything about Zach Bond?
No. Think you fit in well where we put him.
Yeah, I think that I think I talked about this when we actually started initially talking about Zach Bond, which, if I remember correctly, like he didn't want him in the 30s, but I'm pretty sure his name came up in the 30s.
Yeah. Which
Like,
once again,
it's
if
not-
we're going
yeah.
off of just last year,
Exactly.
the dude was lights. He
Yeah.
was in for Defensive Player of the
Right.
Year
Which
until
is where
we
I
could see.
struggle with it, and where I struggle with like Nick Benito and things like that. It's like we want to put them higher, but at the same time, like you have to do it more than one season.
Yeah.
Like I hope that they do. I like both players, but it's also like at the same time, it's like let's pump the brakes a little bit. It's been one season. I struggle with this with rookies every single year, where it's like everybody wants to put them top 10. It's like there's a good chance that that's true, but at the same time, it's like let's pump the brakes a little bit.
And looking ahead,
Where
we
was
have.
this when I was fighting for Jaden Daniels?
We'll get to it.
I
was
said
this?
this exactly.
Where was this?
I said this then too because I said the same thing about Mike Parsons, Nick Bosa. Everybody wanted them to be MVP. Wanted them to be Defensive Player of the Year in their
DPOY,
rookie season.
best odds
in their
next
rookie
year.
season.
Yeah.
And it's like, guy, this is their rookie year. Pump the brakes.
Naples teased it a little bit. We do have, I think, like 6 rookies on the list, and we have not had one yet. Trying to think. The youngest guy we have probably so far,
About to come up, maybe.
Brian Branch. Brian Branch, and then another guy from that same draft class. Before him, though, we have an old head, and this is a guy that Eli actually informed me about going back. If we're talking about DBU, Washington has a shot at it between guys like him, Marcus Peters, Buda Baker. And this is a guy who doesn't have the interception numbers, but I love versatility in a defensive backfield. This is a guy who has played all 5 positions in the defensive backfield and started cornerback, nickel, strong safety, free safety.
Undersized.
Yeah, just a dog.
Hitter. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love me some Boone Baker.
I mean, he was. I don't want to disrespect Tyrann,
Not faster than
like-
DK,
but like this was like another.
Not many are.
This is another nostalgia guy where it was like he was like being mentioned with Tyrann Mathieu and that like a safety that could absolutely influence. It's just so fun watching a defender in college football.
Yeah.
Like
I love the
teams-
kamikaze style.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
no
they can
regard
just
for their
Using
body.
Right, like, how does a
never
safety-
bad idea.
win a team a conference championship or something like a safety.
Yeah.
Like their team is good, obviously, but like a safety is the one leading. It's just so fun.
Yeah.
So it was like in that same vein with Tyrann Mathieu, with Buda Baker, but yeah, just another fun guy in college.
Yeah.
That didn't pan out to start in the NFL, right? And now is starting
Well,
to.
so he's an interesting
Take
one.
off.
He's a late pick.
He was a second round pick,
Oh.
early second round. He started day 1 and was a solid rookie. He actually was a first team All Pro and a Pro Bowler his rookie year as a special teamer. And so He's been playing a long time now. He's actually he came into the league young, so he is going to be 29 basically all of this year.
That's crazy.
But so everybody loves to look at the interception numbers, and rightfully so. It's important. He has 7 interceptions and 5 fumble recoveries, 7 forced fumbles. So you look at the splash plays; they're not really there. But then when you dive in deeper to the accolades, he's a 2-time first-team All-Pro, 2-time second-team All-Pro, and a 7-time Pro Bowler. That's a pretty good case, especially when you're not even 30 years old. Add in the fact that he's playing for one of the smallest markets and least popular teams in the league, in the Cardinals.
He also doesn't traditionally play like the free safety. He more so roams in the box. So it's like, it's not that you can't get interceptions, but like you're more of a ball hawk interception safety when you play the free rather than the strong.
And it was the same thing where I think that's just the unfair thing of, I don't want to say people that don't know ball, but like Hayden said, interceptions aren't everything. And I think whenever you see somebody that's like a ball hawk, or not necessarily, I don't want to say ball hawk, an amazing defensive back from college that everybody loves in college football, then he goes to the NFL and he doesn't get picked. They're like, this kid's not even good. And it's like, you look at his college stats, Buda had 2 interceptions when he was a consensus All-American his last year at Washington, but 9.5 tackles for loss as a safety. So it's like you have to watch the games. You can't be like, oh, this guy's a bust because he was supposed to be so good out of college. It's like, he was amazing in college. You can't expect somebody to change how their production is.
Yeah.
You drafted them to produce like they were going to produce. You can't make somebody something they're not.
It's also like stats in college football are so misleading. Because in the NFL,
Especially quarterbacks, because it's like, all right, who are they throwing to? Wide open guys 95% of the time.
like for the NFL, and like Eli just said, it's not a perfect system, but you can tell who's a good player for the most part with
Outside of Diggs.
with sacks and interceptions. In college, it's incredibly hard to get a sack because everything's an RPO. The college offense is so basic where
If not, they're throwing it in 1.6 seconds.
correct.
Yeah.
Right. Or you're like on a team that is stacked on the line and you get so many sacks.
All 5 are draftees.
Right,
Like,
but part of it is you have Bosa or Chase Young on the opposite
Or
side.
when you look at the interceptions, Josh Jackson and Desmond King were the best cornerback duo in football for 2 years. Desmond King had a solid NFL career in his defense.
Yeah.
But Josh Jackson was a complete bust.
I hate that 1 year.
Desmond King had. Josh Jackson
Josh
was
Jackson had that 1 year.
awful.
I hate
Jo-
that 1 year.
He went from double-digit interceptions in college, where then the NFL, you realize, oh, he's not fast.
Good.
He's not good enough. And so, I don't know. With that said, Josh Jackson, one of my favorite players in college football history.
Great interception against Ohio State.
Sure. What?
Did they win that game?
Yeah. That was the game they smoked them, right? When he had that one-hander. They won like 50-20 or something. The week after Ohio State beat Penn State. To be fair.
So we talked about
As
Brian.
they normally do.
We talked about Brian Branch in the opening, another DB from that same draft class, kind of that kamikaze style that Eli's been describing. Devin Witherspoon. And this is another guy, and that's the thing with these lists, like, I wouldn't be surprised. This is something that I'm probably going to want to run back next year. It's going to be interesting to see how guys move up. You mentioned it a little bit with Devontae Adams, like seeing like where these guys are going to move. Devin Witherspoon has a chance to be an All-Pro next year. And if you're an All-Pro DB, chances are you're going to be in the top 50 at least of this list. We have him here at 85. Him and Reek Woolen could be the best defensive backfield in football.
Yeah.
Add in the fact that you have a Julian Love, you have a Kobe Bryant there.
You have Mike McDonald.
Yeah, the Mike McDonald secondary.
Yep.
So, yeah, Devin Witherspoon bringing back the Legion of Boom days for Seahawks.
Devin Witherspoon was that year my pick for Defensive Rookie of the Year, and he didn't. Who ended up winning that year?
Will Anderson.
Yeah, Will Anderson, which deservedly so. But throughout the whole season, that was my stick to it pick. He had a nice pick 6 against somebody that was like his.
It was like a
week
primetime
4 or
game.
5,
Week
yeah.
4, Thursday
Yeah,
night or something.
I think it was against the Jets.
Yeah. I wouldn't say he had a sophomore slump this year, but definitely not as good. I wouldn't say as his notoriety-wise as his rookie season. I would expect a big jump from Devin Witherspoon this year. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe next year he's a top 50 player in this list. So, again, maybe not like, top 5 corner in the league, but I could see him being somewhere in the 10 to 12.
That year at Illinois was so good.
Yeah.
They had both Brown brothers, Sidney and Chase
That's so
Brown.
weird.
Chase Brown, by the way, is going to break out this year. And then Devin Witherspoon, a top 5 pick. Is it you or Naples?
Hey man, all
It
the
was
time,
bad, dude.
all the times that you be doing it. Got it,
Smell
got
like
it, got it.
Burger, smell like Burger King ketchup over here.
Burger King
Couldn't,
has
couldn't
I guess we're never getting a sponsor from
Hey,
Burger
man,
King.
I couldn't tell you the last time I had
Where do
Burger
you
King.
want Burger King?
I mean, listen, money talks. I speak green.
Speak green.
No, the last thing I had was a smoothie from Brouhaha. It's like pretty much the only thing I ate today.
Oh, well, we're never going to sponsor from them either.
What?
Let's just
Well,
name-
most
let's
smoothie,
just-
something he ate.
Man,
Drink the
I
smoothie.
consumed it.
There you go. All right.
Sorry, we got Brian Arnfeld, who
Brian,
a
Arm fart.
investment banker and
Oh.
has his own LP.
Might
Carl
have to
Nassib
slide
type
into the DM.
Next one.
Yeah. We were talking about off-ball linebackers. It's very weak. The next position group isn't weak. It's almost too good, where it's hard to separate yourself from the pack. Because of that, we
The
only
That's-
Pack is
go
back.
pack go.
Yeah.
Psych.
We have Josh Jacobs, who,
Single-handedly carried that team.
yeah,
to
no,
their
this year
lacking
he did.
quarterback.
Jordan Love was banged up. He was
Jordan
not good
Love
this year.
stunk. Malik Willis was better. They were better. They were a better team when Malik Willis was out there. Malik Willis, Josh Jacobs combo back there was better.
Josh Jacobs proved that he's a top 5 back in the game
What's the
this
tape?
year.
What's the tape?
Dude was a dog. Naples is right. This year, like the Packers' offense was Josh Jacobs. Jaden Reed had a great first 3 weeks, and then after that, it was we're handing the ball off to Josh Jacobs every single play. They drafted Marshawn Lloyd in the 3rd round out of USC. Some people thought that maybe that was going to be the running back of the future. The Josh Jacobs contract, they could have gotten out of it after 1 year with no penalty, basically. But when you have a season like that, it kind of falls by the wayside when Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley are both going for 2K-ish. But Josh Jacobs, incredible. Probably, when you look at what they did, I would say he was probably the 3rd best back in football last year. Jahmyr Gibbs, I think if you give Jahmyr Gibbs the touches Josh Jacobs gets, then maybe we're having a different story. But Josh Jacobs, just tremendous. And going to be a huge part of if Green Bay can kind of get back to winning the North.
Well, speaking of Green Bay, are we running back the Green Bay stinks bet?
Yeah, I would do it with you, probably.
Take them for 8 or less for them to be negative win-loss.
Do I got to look at the schedule first, and how much money are we talking?
Sure.
So real quick, Josh Jacobs from last year, fantasy-wise, was RB6, but the 20th overall player in fantasy football. He had, I think, 6 or 7 games I counted where he went over 20 fantasy
Who was
points.
RB2?
Derrick Henry.
Yeah, behind
Henry,
Saquon.
and then I think
Yeah.
Gibbs was
Gibbs
3.
or Bijan.
Gibbs was 3, I think, and then Bijan or reversed.
Not to bring this up again, but I think we're talking about Josh Jacobs. We talked about Bama. I think RBU is one of the more fun arguments and discussions.
Man,
Yeah.
it's so random
You know-
sometimes.
You know who has a decent case for it?
Syracuse.
Bama.
Syracuse, yeah.
Georgia is.
Yeah.
James Conner, LaShawn McCoy, Curtis Martin, Tony Dorsett. There are Hall of Famers. There are contributors. There are starters. Dion Lewis.
Or local boys.
Pitt. Obviously, when you put Pitt against Bama,
Mm-hmm.
not going to look great. But once again, Bama could beat every position. Pitt's RBs, you have going to be 3 Hall of Famers if Shady gets in, and then you have some other starters. So
I'd have to
No, I'm
look at some
biased.
of the Hall of Fame backs and where they went to school because I just don't know. Like the Barry Sanders, the Walter Paytons, the Emmett Smiths. Like
the Georgias have the recent ones. They also have the Terrell
Herschel.
Davis, Herschel Walker.
I mean, Georgia, I
Nick
think,
Chubb.
was the easy argument throughout those couple of years when they had
Yeah.
the
And then
spearhead
Bama
and
got a
Shell
Heisman
and,
in every single.
Nick Chubb, and then you got Cook.
Yeah.
Sun Shell.
So that's, yeah. There was another running back from Georgia.
Naples, how much money do you want on it?
So what are you thinking?
100. Make it fun.
Maybe not that
I
high.
saw this video of this dude who said.
Let's do a
that
25 piece.
That's what I was thinking.
25 piece.
And what 8-1? We're even.
8-8-1 is a scratch. if they finish with 8 and 9, I win or less.
9
9
and
wins,
8.
you get
All
it.
right. Good deal. All right, so that's for all of you loyal listeners.
Yeah.
That's kind of a tease back to last year's bet.
Yeah, and good thing the Packers are going to be no higher than 3rd in the division, which will lead us to another
Did you say the
bet
Bears
that I
take
have.
second?
Yeah, that I have with Josie is that the Bears finish 2nd or higher in that division this year.
Did you like
How
get
much
some
money's
odds
on that
that
one?
or
50
straight
bomb,
up?
I think.
Straight up. You didn't like play any like, hey, if they
No,
win
just
30, you win
doesn't matter.
50.
He said that they're going to finish first or second in the division. I said no way, third, fourth.
Well, the
I
Vikings.
could see them finishing fourth or third. I don't think it's higher than
Dude,
third.
JJ McCarthy stinks. I know Jordan Love stinks. So
Okay, Sam Darnold stinks too, and look what he did there last year.
it's a fluke Duke year.
All right, so we can book at Josh Jacobs, 2,000 yards,
Luke
28
Duke.
touchdowns in the MVP season as the Packers win the Super Bowl. Number 83, we have a guy who we were just talking about.
Big
Yeah.
draft day.
Yeah.
Big draft day.
So Josie was actually teasing that earlier when he put his shirt on. He was teasing this guy.
If we're going off of last year, Laramie Tunsil's nowhere close to making this list.
Uh-huh.
But when you look at it in totality, he's one of the best pass blockers of the last decade. He obviously goes over to Washington. Washington, I was doing some power rankings. I have them a little bit lower than a lot of people are going to want probably. The one thing that makes me a little bit unsure that they're not going to have a sophomore slump is how they've revamped that offensive line. Sam Cosme is
Not great.
a great guard. He's coming back. Josh Connerly,
ACL?
I believe
the
so.
rookie tackle. from
Josh
Oregon.
Connerly, the Oregon tackle on the right side. You have Laramie Tunsil on the left side. You still have Tyler Biadasz. I just have a weird feeling about Washington where last year was a little bit of a flash in the pan.
Believe
Bro,
it or not.
I think it all rides on Jaden Daniels. If he takes like a step back in year 2, they're not going to be great because of like I think the supporting cast. Like I'm not in love with their run game. Like I think Brian Robinson's solid, but I think Eckler's well past his years. Like they've got like a lot of old vets on that team that
Yeah.
like will really require Jaden Daniels to like duplicate and or be a little better than he was last year.
Bobby Wagner's not going
'Cause,
to be
like-
a second team All Pro
No,
this year.
yeah,
Right?
and like Debo Samuel, like
we all said that about Cam last year, right?
Debo Samuel. What do we think of him? Zach Ertz is another year older.
Yeah, I just
Like
there's
not
I
a
don't
lot
love the
of
running
juice.
game.
Yeah, there's
Like,
not a lot of juice on that offense outside of Jaden Daniels and Terry.
He's due for an injury. He took all those hits rookie year. Like
Due for an injury is nuts. I mean, you're not
He's
wrong,
due.
but
I-
to say
like-
he's due for an
He's
injury
due.
is kind of crazy.
I like
He needs to get injured, man.
I feel
He's due.
like all four.
Take his unders.
I would probably take all four NFC North teams in a head-to-head against Washington.
I wouldn't take Minnesota.
Between the
I
coaching,
wouldn't take the Chicago Bears. I know he would.
I'd take
though.
the Chicago Bears.
I,
Revenge game last time.
the coaching in the
Bears.
NFC North is crazy. Like,
Tyreek Stevenson will lose him the game again. Don't worry.
yeah, I don't know.
No, they
Not-
So nuts that.
Jeremy McNichols is a good running back too.
Shut up.
Right.
Seriously,
He's good.
He's good.
that's where
I didn't say he's great. I said he's good.
Yeah.
as an RB2,
RB3.
No, he's RB3.
I
Austin
could
Eckler's two.
I
He's a
can
great
name
RB3.
I can name 75 RBs probably before we
Dave-
get to Jeremy.
Yeah, but
McNichols.
how many
Debo
RB3s
Samuel's
are better
an
than
RB
him?
as well?
How many RB3s are better than this guy? He might be the best RB3.
All right, so maybe he's the
The best
65th best running back. in
The best
world.
RB3? Best RB3 though.
Yeah,
It's all
that would
about
be
that.
like 65th.
Debo
like,
Samuel's a running back too. Let's be honest. So,
he's looking like a little bit of a chunky monkey, if you ask me.
Hey
but-
man,
James Harden.
he's putting on some weight so he can run people over.
hey, Eddie Lacy.
Calvin
Shorts.
Benjamin.
Short's going to help with the separation that he hasn't been able to get all of his career. But
You don't need separation. He's stiff arm. Truck
maybe,
stick.
maybe in 2021, not in 2025. Yeah, I feel bad. We didn't really talk about Laramie Tunsil. We kind
Yeah,
of
it's-
just.
I was just gonna say
Talk
real
about
quick. He
Washington.
was actually 71st on the list last year by the NFL, which surprised me.
Last
Took
year,
a
just
bit of a step back.
all those penalties this year were rough.
Yeah.
There's a reason Houston said goodbye to a franchise left tackle pretty easily.
And the next guy on the list is someone that could take one of those leaps high up into the perhaps 30s next
He
year.
did last year. He took the leap last year.
He
was
could
wide receiver 5
Yeah.
in the season.
he could definitely take a jump, and this is no doubt an emerging star in the league. It's Drake London. We don't got to talk about him too much. I mean, the guy's just a freak. Dude's like 6'5", just runs like all the top receivers. Turned out way better than Kyle Pitts so far.
He's a prototypical X-type wide receiver. I expect big things from Drake London this year. He's one of my guys to watch from a fantasy perspective. Like,
Scared
he's
about
going to have a
Penix.
great season, I think.
Scared about Penix. Not so sure I'm sold.
He had a great season when Penix started.
Yeah, I know.
He did all season, but
He went from
Like, he
110 targets in 2023 to 158 targets in 2024.
Let's get him to 200.
I mean, looking at the when did Penix start after the bye in week 13?
Sure.
Yes, I think so.
His numbers 17, 12, 14, 10, 17, 40.
Yeah.
40 in the final week of the season. And they almost made the playoffs. They were like half a game back.
Everyone almost makes the playoffs in that division.
Yeah, because they
Yeah.
suck.
Yeah.
Carolina's always in it until like week
Yeah.
16.
Don't be surprised if Tampa kind of runs away with it this year, though. I think Tampa's an 11, 12 win team.
I would love to see it. I like Tampa, though.
I do too.
I like me some Mike Evans. Some,
And some bake.
and some
Evans
Chris,
and bake.
Chris Godwin.
And
coming back with
Abuka.
a
Oh, and
vengeance.
Abuka. Oh,
Jade-
Abuka's good.
Jalen
Jalen
McMillan,
McMillan. Yeah.
thank you.
Bucky Irvin, Rashad White.
But
Sean Tucker.
Kate Otten.
I love me some K.
That's a guy.
Tristan Wirfs. We're just going through their.
Wirfs.
We're pulling a Christian. And we're just going through their whole Madden roster.
Yep.
Love you, Christian.
Secondary's not great outside of Antoine Winfield, but hey.
Yeah. I was gonna say 'cause
Jamel Dean.
I had-
He's not even there. I think.
Jamal Dean is.
He's still there.
Pretty sure.
Zion McCullum is
Yeah.
okay.
Former second rounder.
Mm-hmm.
They drafted a couple corners this year. Benjamin Morrison. He would have
Yeah.
been a first rounder, but he was hurt all year for Notre Dame.
That was a good pick.
That's what I was. Whenever you said Winfield, I had mocked them Malachi Starks, but I had
They
to
still
think.
need
I was
an
like,
edge rusher so
And then he
bad.
goes to the Ravens.
yeah,
And of course.
All right, at 81, we have a guy who he could very well not be in football next year, or he could be a top 10 player. And that's kind of the story of the running back position. Christian McCaffrey. And I remember from a fantasy perspective, it pissed everybody off last year because he was totally healthy until week 1, and all of a sudden we find out that, oh, he has a calf, he has an Achilles. Ended up coming back for like one game in the middle of the season, and then his other Achilles, knee, calf, basically his whole lower body was shot. They put him on ice the rest of the year, which, I mean, they're seeing what happened to Tyrese last night. I'm kind of happy because now at least we have a chance of seeing a Christian McCaffrey healthy again. If he would have actually torn both Achilles, like, there's no way he would be done. We wouldn't even see him in like a reserve role like we're seeing with Nick Chubb right now. But yeah, if he can get back to his MVP caliber ways, the 49ers are going to be a threat. If not, it's going to be Isaac Arendo's season, and he'll still probably rush for close to 1,000 yards, but it's not going to be anywhere close to the same team.
What's crazy is I'm looking at his fantasy stats from last year. So he was RB 68 on the season, which isn't great. It's the top of the RB3s if you think about like just 32, whatever.
And he played in what, 2 games?
He played in 3 full games.
Yeah.
3 full games, and he was still at the top of the RB3 rankings. So when this guy plays and is on the field, he still produces. They just need to keep him on the field. And running back shelf life, we talk about that, I feel like, all the time, like every single week, basically.
We
So
talk
it's
a
like-
lot about
He's also
Saquon.
he had the Madden curse last year, so
True,
this year it's
true.
Saquon's turn to get hurt. So it's not.
Speaking of Saquon, it gets talked a lot about how the Giants like wasted the early part of his career. I don't think it gets talked about enough how much the Panthers like. It's like
He was getting 100 catches.
Yeah, it's not
Right,
like they
but-
wasted his career.
No,
they
but
just weren't a
it's
successful
just,
team
like, for
outside
what?
of.
like
From a
it's just
fantasy
so
perspective,
frustrating.
yeah.
It's so frustrating from an NFL fan perspective.
Yeah.
That teams don't realize it can be a win-win moving on from a player like that.
Mhm.
Like the Giants got roasted for moving on to Saquon, but they shouldn't have drafted him in the first place, and they shouldn't have held on to him for that long. It's
Yeah.
like if they're not getting you to a Super Bowl, move on from them. And if he goes and wins, right? It's like, oh yeah, Giants, you look like idiots. Like it sucks because it's an interdivisional.
They didn't help themselves out with Hard Knocks.
No, that was bad
But
too.
they also just let him walk. They didn't get anything back for him.
Right,
So
that's
maybe
what
a
I'm saying.
compensatory
That's what
thing.
I'm saying. Like they need but they shouldn't have signed him.
Yeah.
They shouldn't have paid him because it's like, yes, they look like clowns because they didn't handle it and they waited, but like you have to move on from these running backs. And if they go win somewhere else, good for them. As long as if your goal is to win a Super Bowl and not just not have an interdivisional rival win a Super Bowl, like your goal is to win a Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
So
And
I don't know,
that's
it's
totally why the
frustrating.
Steelers moved on from Najee Harris. A win-win situation.
Amen.
Yeah,
He's
he's
weren't
And
ready.
then they drafted
He's-
Caleb Johnson, who's a faster version of Najee Harris.
Yep,
So.
and
Najee had his moments.
and Bama
You know, they talk
hurdling
about
Notre
Mike
Dame.
Evans,
players,
consistent 1,000-yard receiver. We
Listen.
don't talk about Najee.
Listen.
consistent
Listen,
1,000-yard
Najee
rusher.
had 2 whole rushes over 4 yards in his career. So,
Yeah.
you know.
Consistent.
True stat.
Yeah, for real.
Hey, you know what you're getting with him. Consistency.
Consistent
Listen,
3.3
the
yards.
durability is impressive. Like,
Yeah.
there is a
Third and
value
3.
in Najee Harris's
First
skill
down.
set. With that said,
Fourth and 1.
He probably gets tackled 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage because the line also sucks.
Because the line's all so bad.
all right, number 80. We're going into the edge rushers, and so we talked about linebacker and running back, how we don't have a lot of them on the list. We do have a ton of edge rushers. We have a ton of wide receivers. We have a good handful of quarterbacks, ton of linemen, and that's really kind of mirroring the value of the positions in the NFL. You can never have enough edge rushers. There's always going to be a value for that.
That's the Giants.
We're talking about Buda Baker being for a small market team. Josh Hines Allen also kind of struggles with that playing in Duval County. Him and Travon Walker should be like one of the best duos. And then you have Eric Armstead in the inside too.
Yep.
Now, I don't think that their play necessarily matches what the potential is there. But Josh Hines Allen's just been consistently a pro's pro. 12 sacks a year kind of guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like him. I mean, he just got his contract extension last season. He got tagged and then extended, right? Was he one of those in the category
Yeah,
of tag and then extension? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, deserved. He's been great.
Yeah, he took advantage of that contract year, 17 and a half sacks.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And if Travis Hunter can play a lot of DB for them, I mean, their defense might actually be okay.
Still Tyson Campbell and Devin Lloyd, one of the better off-ball linebackers. 79, we have an older edge rusher coming off of a Pro Bowl year despite only, I believe, 6 sacks. Khalil Mack.
Which is what he had in one single game this
Yeah.
previous season.
Still
Yeah.
think about
Yeah.
that year with the Raiders, man.
Mhm.
I love the Chargers edge rushers, even with Joey Bosa leaving. You have Khalil Mack, you have Bud Dupree, who's good for 6 to 8 sacks a year. And then you have the young kid out of USC. He's entering his 3rd year, but he's still only like 22 years old, I think. Tuli
Tuipulotu.
Tuipulotu. Yeah, the Chargers have some dogs.
If Khalil retires tomorrow, is he a Hall of Fame?
I
Hall of
think so.
Famer?
It's close.
I don't
He's the
think
d-
he's a first ballot, but he's probably in.
The
Yeah,
defensive
he's-
player of the year helps him out, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing is, he only had like 13 and a half sacks that year. It was the year JJ got hurt. It was
Yeah.
maybe 14 and a half, but like it wasn't a lot. Because I
11.
remember people saying like, "Oh, if JJ would have played." What'd you say?
11.
Yeah, like it wasn't like a crazy statistical year. Everybody's like, "Oh, he won it because JJ got hurt or whatever." But like, I like Khalil Mack. He's one of those players where he's really close in my mind. Like he should be in the Hall in my opinion, but like
I think he's there.
he would just have like these really amazing seasons, and then the season after would kind of like only be okay.
I agree.
Like,
I don't think he's a first ballot,
Yeah.
but I think
Like when he got traded to the Bears, he started that season
Oh my
off
gosh.
with strip sacking Aaron Rodgers and taking it back
Interceptions,
for
yeah.
a touchdown, the intercept.
He had
Like,
like
he would-
3 sacks that game.
It
too.
was like we were like, this is the second coming of JJ Watt. Like he's gonna absolutely kill it, and then the rest of the season and the rest of his tenure with the
Yeah.
Bears was like, where is this guy? Is he still in the league? And so like he would
he was
have
better
occasionally-
than that.
He is,
I
I
mean,
know, but, like,
he had some All Pros and
I'm
Pro
making a
Bowls in
point by
there.
being dramatic about it, but at the
Yeah.
same time, it's like I expected, especially with his time that he spent with the Raiders and then his first game with the Bears, I expected this guy to be a no doubt first ballot Hall of Fame guy.
Yeah.
And I just feel like maybe it's the teams he's been on, but it's just like I don't know. It's been a little bit underwhelming for maybe
Raiders
what
to
I.
Bears.
I mean, he's been in the
Yeah.
playoffs, 3 times? Once with each team.
Once with
Yeah,
Turbine.
that sounds right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Trubisky's Pro Bowl season.
At Nagy, baby.
MVP.
That's what was the same. Was that the
Two-time
same season?
MVP.
Was his first one the season he made the playoffs?
I don't know.
The
MVP. His first.
It's
one?
first.
Nickelodeon?
I mean, it was the first year of that of the Nickelodeon. He was
I
the
think
first
it-
ever MVP.
Yeah.
I think the MVP was like the Saints in the wild card round, and then the Bears beat or lost to the Eagles on the Parkey double doink.
Mm.
But
The double doink heard around the world.
Double doink.
So I'm looking right now. Khalil Mack is tied in 45th all time with sacks with Mark Gastineau from the New York Sack Exchange. Who he's not in the Hall of Fame, I would argue he should be. And then
had a few words for Brett Favre.
And then Pat Swilling, a guy from the 80s and 90s, also.
Who's like notable below him?
Who's notable he's going to catch?
Elvin Bethea is in the Hall of Fame. Elvis Dumervil, Ed Too Tall Jones, another guy who's good but not in the Hall of Fame. Dexter Manley, Myles Garrett's behind him for now, not for long. Robert Quinn, Charles Haley, and then we get into like the 99 guys. Guys that he's going to pass, he's not going to pass TJ Watt. He could pass Calais Campbell, possibly. The highest he's going to get, he's not going to pass like 33, it looks like.
So that's
JJ Watt at 34.
I thought he'd be up there with some more notable, I guess.
He's gonna pass Bruce Smith this next season.
Yeah.
200.
Yeah,
NFL record.
yeah I'd put him in Canton, especially when the defensive player of the year, I think, really helps.
Just go into the settings and turn off offsides. And then just rack up the
stand next to the
stats. That's
quarterback.
right.
Classic.
Honestly, you can stand next to the quarterback and let go of the controller because your player's just going to move forward. So, perfect.
You guys want to get to 75?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. 78, we have TJ Hawkinson. Didn't really play last year, and when he did play, he had 0 touchdowns. This is one me and Eli had a huge, not really debate because we kind of agreed on it with each other. But
After we saw the stats.
Yeah, we were flip-flopping between him and Sam Laporta because we were both kind of leaning him. But the stats last year, and to be fair, there were a lot of mouths to feed. Aaron Jones had a great year. You obviously have Jay Jettas, Jordan Addison. There was even a third wide receiver, I forget, Jalen Naylor for the Vikings, who put up some good numbers.
Jalen Naylor is. Right?
Rieger, you're thinking of.
No.
KJ Osborne.
Thank you.
Yeah.
KJ Osborne.
But the stats were pretty underwhelming. And to be fair, he was probably still not fully healthy from the ACL. But then you looked at Sam Laporta's stats and what he's done through the first 2 years. It was hard to justify putting TJ Hawkinson ahead of Laporta. So we changed our minds and put Hawkinson here. But if back healthy, top 5 tight end, no question, between what he can do in the blocking and receiving game. We were talking about tight end you earlier.
Yeah, I'm a big Hawkinson guy. He's one of those guys that, like, those rare guys that's, like, really good but gets traded in division. I feel like it doesn't really get talked about much that, like, he literally got traded in division, which is kind of, again.
It's another one of those rare win-win trades.
Mine just trade tight ends.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Because
And then they draft another good one, like, immediately after.
with that same pick, that's like
Yeah.
similar to what the
Just
Vikings
reset
did
the
with
contracts.
Justin Jefferson and Stephon Diggs.
Mm-hmm.
Same trade.
Yeah. I'm a big Hawkinson guy. I have him in a couple of my fantasy leagues, so, looking for a big one from him this year. I think it would be nice to have a safety blanket for JJ. If JJ is going to succeed, I think he needs to be able to be in a simple offense to build some confidence, and I think simplest offense is throwing it to the tight end. So,
Well, Kevin
Sure.
O'Connell can get 400 yards out of Nick Mullins and Josh Dobbs. That's why I kind of lean on the side of betting on JJ. 77, we have Jalen Johnson, another one of the corners. We talked about this a little bit too. The best corners in today's NFL are a lot different than the best cornerbacks even just 10 years ago. The Richard Shermans, the Patrick Petersons, the Joe Haydens, all those kinds of guys. A lot different than today, where you have Patrick Surtain, who's no question the number 1. And then number 2, number 3, I think that's where you get into the Christian Gonzalez, Derek Stingley, Jalen Ramsey, Sauce Gardner conversations, where we're definitely in a lesser era of cornerbacks than we were.
It's different. It's a different game now, though, too. It's like before, like a lot of those dudes would play like shadow coverage and like follow receivers. Like a lot of teams just don't do that anymore. They just play sides.
You think it's just partly the dominance of offense?
I just think it's like the team just play a lot more zone, like especially on like the outside.
I think they play zone though because they don't have the guys.
Yeah.
Like,
But I don't think it's the lack of guys. I think it's how the game is.
Yeah.
I think it's
like the
rules
offensive
are
players are
Yeah, I
just
think the
better.
receivers are just ridiculous.
receivers are ridiculous. Rules are catered towards the offense.
Offensive mind coaches,
Mhm.
like some of the schemes and the creativity
Yeah.
that they
Make
have.
plays
like
and
Jalen.
shenanigans.
I like
You can't
Jalen
just play
Johnson.
straight up.
I mean, it was
Yeah, he's good.
not last season, but the season before, right before he got his contract extension.
Steelers were pushing hard.
I heard the rumor was that they were like really close to getting a deal done for Jalen Johnson, and then he just had his midlife crisis, changed his number, signed his deal. So, there's a little bit of a bitter taste in the mouth.
Yeah.
for-
You sure? I
but
can't
like-
sense that.
Yeah,
At
I
some,
like Jalen Johnson a lot
Yeah.
personally.
at some point,
so.
can we do a "We'll never again see a blank"? Like I think episode where like I don't think we'll ever see a true blank island like Revis Island because of the way the
Guantanamo
game's
Bay.
going.
Guantanamo Bay.
Well,
Yeah.
That's what they're saying.
I don't know. Wait.
Anyway, I love a good wide receiver DB like feud, like
Marshall
rivalry,
Lattimore.
Marshawn Lattimore, Mike Evans type stuff.
Josh Norman, OBJ.
Oh yeah, where it's like, oh, these guys are going at it, like they shadow each other the whole game. You get to
Yeah.
see them like,
Well,
you know,
Sherman
in their
Sherman,
mini
Crabtree,
Yep.
Andre Johnson,
Yeah,
Cortland
Yoker.
Finnegan.
dude,
They're awesome, but we don't really get to see that too much anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, last
Bring
year was a
trash
nice
talking
change
back
up with
into the
Lattimore
NFL.
and Evans. That was last year, right? Last year.
Bring
was
taunting.
I feel like it could have been George Pickens and Patrick Surtain, but they decided to call that play back. So.
Forgot about that. Blocked it from my memory.
Mhm.
It's alright, they won that game.
They did.
Alright,
Barely.
2 guys left, and we won't have to spend too long on either of them because they're offensive linemen.
They're both guards. Well, one's a guard.
Put them together.
Well,
Oh, they're
yeah.
both guard tackles,
Yeah.
actually.
Well, no, one of
Lump
them's a
them
center
together.
now.
Lump
Which
them
we'll talk
together.
about.
He's played every position
Yeah.
on that line.
So at 76, we have Joe Tooney, obviously a part a part of the Chicago Bears, who are going to be very good, and Naples going to steal $50 from Josie, but he's only going to profit in 25 because
getting-
I'm going to.
Who's getting first in that division? If the Bears
The
are getting
Lions,
second,
Lions could
All
get
4
first.
teams could get
So you
first.
think it's Lions, Bears, Packers?
I think that all 4 teams
Vikings?
have a realistic chance to get first. I think that's how good the NFC North is.
I think it's going to take at least one more year for Caleb to get it.
I don't think so.
He's in a new system with.
He
the
was
new
good
offense.
last year, though. That's the thing.
Bro,
He wasn't
set-
bad
he was-
last year. He just wasn't as good as Bo Nix or Jane Daniels.
He played well in the second half of the last season, but he played without taking aggressive shots, which
If
is
he was
exactly
good
what he
his
did in
rookie
college.
year with
Bro,
2 different offensive coordinators, then he's going to be
bro.
great with
The
it.
Bears.
O line is revamped,
The Bears aren't
and
winning
they've
the
got
division.
weapons,
They're
weapons,
not winning the
weapons.
division.
They
They-
got
they
too
don't
many.
have to.
They've got too
I'm
many
not.
mouths.
I'm saying I don't think they have a shot.
They just got to be number 2.
I know.
Listen,
I'm saying they're.
It's the Ravens secondary. They've got too many mouths to feed.
You don't think the Bears can win 10 games?
I can see them as a.
You don't think they can win 10 games?
I think they're
10 and
stealing-
7.
If
they're stealing
JJ sucks, they could take 2.
There's a chance we
So
get
that's
4
against Green
teams
Bay.
from that division in the playoffs.
No, see that I think is nuts.
That I
don't
can't
think,
see. But hear me out though.
I don't think
the
the
Bears.
division's
What,
that great.
what were the Bears last year in the division?
I'm not
Did
sure.
they win 5 games?
4th, right?
Yeah. Did they win
They're
5
gonna
games?
play a 4th place division
They're the 10th
schedule.
pick, my guy.
They're gonna play a 4th place division schedule.
And still play their entire
And-
division, which
yeah.
other team's better
Okay,
than they
they're
are.
we're gonna go 3-3 in the division.
I just
if not
don't think
4-2.
I could see them being second. I don't think that division's that great outside
Oh,
of
that
Detroit.
division's insane.
That's a
I think
That's
it's
good.
You know what?
insane
I
is
agree.
wild.
I agree, Eli. I agree. Because
Oh, dude,
because
Matt
LaFleur,
Minnesota's
Kevin
frauds.
O'Connell.
If
Minnesota's
JJ
are frauds,
yeah,
and the
if
Packers.
JJ
Maybe in the
is-
postseason, but in
And
the
the
regular
Packers
season,
stink.
Kevin O'Connell is a
If
mastermind. on
JJ's
offense.
buns, he's buns.
He's buns. And the
And I
Vikings
can
now
see
are
him
buns.
being buns.
He's buns.
It doesn't matter.
It
does a little
Nick
bit,
Mullins
but-
had Nick Mullins and Josh Dobbs are good with Kevin O'Connell. It doesn't matter.
I don't know.
All I'm saying is the Bears also have the worst coach in the division.
I mean, for
We'll see.
now,
Well, yeah, we just
That's
We'll
what I'm
see.
saying. It's like
We'll see
I'm not
after
saying
this
it's going to be
year.
the
No,
same
no,
next year. This season coming up, they have the worst coach in the division.
okay, the Raiders
Sure.
have the worst head coach in their division, and all 4
And it's
coaches
Pete
could be in the
Carroll.
Hall of Fame. like, what's your
Pete
point?
Carroll's the face. And then Tom Brady's the coach.
Yeah, I think we're
Johnson could
stretching
go out
here.
there and
Yeah.
be one of those guys. that
Anyway, we'll
should be
see.
an
We'll
OC
see
or
when we
a
get
coach.
to near the end of the year.
The NFC North is stacked.
Yeah, agreed.
So good. Yeah, you four,
I think the Bears could be 4th in the division again, if I'm being completely honest.
and I do too.
Yeah.
I mean,
But also, like, that's how good the division is, though.
does
Yeah,
the NFC
that's-
just suck? Like, cause I was like, they're not. I don't think that division's that great. But then I was like, oh, now I'm gonna say that this division's better, and then I was like, South, ugh.
South
I
is
think-
terrible.
I
The
think
NFC
the
has a
East,
bigger
no.
disparity
West
between
is
their good
top.
teams.
The
I was
East-
like, never
The,
mind.
the East has a case to be better.
Yeah.
if the Cowboys bounce back and you think the Commanders have upside and the
What-
Eagles roster is just
What
the
makes you
Eagles
think
roster.
the Cowboys are going to bounce back other than they're the Cowboys?
I
Because
mean-
I think I'll get
I mean-
drawn. I got drawn into that last
They,
year.
they
Like,
have
they're the
weapons.
Cowboys. They'll
They,
be
they have
fine.
Pickens.
they have an overall good team. I think CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens and
Honestly, Dak's gonna have a
Ferguson.
good season this year.
Yeah, and Ferguson, and
So
I mean,
bad.
they have like a committee. They have a committee backfield, which I think is the best thing for that team.
Yeah, except for none of them are good.
Jaden Blue's good.
Jaden Blue's solid. Javonte is
So we're
solid.
counting on the 5'6" guys.
Javonte Williams is
They already
solid.
have a 5'4" guy.
Wait,
That's
why,
like Eli's create a player on that.
why are we out on Javonte Williams? He's solid. He's
his
solid
best
as a
season
part of
was
a
his
committee.
rookie year. He's regressed the last 5 years. That's not really a
He's
sign of a good
solid
running
as a
back.
part of a committee. That's what I'm saying.
I think Miles
Sounds
Sanders.
like
I would
any
take
other
Miles
running
Sanders 10 times before Javonte Williams.
Sure,
Javonte Williams is.
he's solid.
I don't know. I think the NFC's weak.
I think that the top teams in the NFC and the bottom teams in the NFC are much wider margin than the AFC teams. I think the
AFC
AFC
also has
teams,
better quarterbacks.
yeah, they're more centralized. I think that the worst of the worst is the NFC, and there's some teams of the NFC at the top. Obviously, Eagles.
AFC has
Yeah,
the four
like
best
Eagles,
quarterbacks
Lions.
by a large
Eagles,
margin.
Niners,
Yeah.
Lions.
Yeah.
Like, by a large
Yeah.
margin.
The disparity between the two is much bigger in the NFC.
Yeah. Just a lot of star power at quarterback in the AFC, which is like what it takes to win most of the time. Not all the time, most of the time.
There are cases like the Eagles
Special
where you don't
teams?
need a
I mean,
star quarterback.
you don't need a top 5 quarterback to win when your entire roster is just really good, and that's team sport, baby.
He's not top 10. He's top 3.
Have you seen all those
Yeah,
comments? Dude,
I
I've,
saw the one. I got
I've
the
been taking it on the
notification
chin,
for the one
which I mean, I'm for, but
Used to that.
have you seen it?
What? No.
That I've been getting in trouble for Jalen Hurts takes online.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Why?
Because Eagles fans, there's a
Eagles
reason
fans are-
There's a reason they have a prison in the bottom of their basement.
it's hilarious.
Underneath
These are the same fans that were booing him during the first half of the season.
Yep.
But
As
For
they were
memory.
just winning games.
just like Will Howard, Will Howard in Ohio State, like he went from the liability of the team to all of a sudden this guy's the second coming of Jesus Christ.
Cheers.
Which
Amen.
listen, Steeler fans is a toxic fan base too, but Eagles fans are
Will
hilarious.
Howard, man.
Eagles fans are crazy.
Thanks.
They're-
I couldn't
future
stand
MVP Will Howard.
When like he,
I had 90 comments in 1 hour from Eagles fans.
I'll always
Crazy.
remember whenever I hear of Will Howard, I'll just remember that picture where like they won it and he was like.
Mm.
and it's
I'll,
like,
I'll
dude,
remember the
this
first
isn't-
game
this isn't
against
you.
Oregon when he just needed to do something and he took all the clock and then slid. That's what I'll
Kyle McCord couldn't do it with that team. Will
Kyle
Howard
McCord
did.
sucks.
I'm aware.
He's
He still got drafted.
He had an amazing year last year, but I agree.
At
So that means Will
Syracuse.
Howard's better than Kyle
I
McCord.
agree.
Will Howard's better than Kyle McCord, but that doesn't mean much.
Will Howard can run somebody over.
Will Howard's better than Justin Fields.
They're
Dude,
both. They're
Will
both.
Howard's the next Josh Allen.
No.
That's what they're saying.
No, Drew Aller. Woohoo!
That's what.
You're gonna get drafted by the Browns.
I'm
I
not
cannot
a-
wait.
I'm not a
Not
Drew
even
Aller.
because I'm a Browns
Stop,
fan, but
bro.
because just to make him.
Yeah, because you know
Dude,
technically.
if we draft Drew Aller, I'm gonna hope he's the best. I'm gonna be glazing him. I'm gonna
Oh,
hope
we
he's
know.
good.
We know. We're gonna get all
Yeah.
kinds of tech. What's funny is if it weren't for you, Eli would not want Drew Aller to be a Browns quarterback
I
at
do
all.
not want.
He
any
is so
Penn State players
against
to be a Brown.
Cleveland.
Yeah, but
and
then
Penn
it
State.
gives you more reason to root for them. You
No,
know?
but it's like losing.
But then it's
years.
like-
Yeah, but it's
'Cause it
win-win.
never works out.
But
That's
if
how I felt
it did,
with
it's
Pickett.
such a high
When
win for
does it
you.
work
Jordan
out?
Cameron
But it's such a high win for you.
When
though.
does it work
USC.
out?
But it could. That's what I'm
No,
saying.
it-
How many Penn State players have been Browns, realistically, though? So that's what I'm saying. We get one in there,
Courtney
and he changes.
Brown, Carl
he changes
Nassib.
the
Yeah,
franchise.
look
Like
what
Carl
happened.
Nassib
I'm
is
not gonna say
crazy.
that.
Carl Nassib on Hard Knocks was spitting some financial game. That's what he was doing.
He's like
What podcast did we listen to him on? He's
the
kinda
pivot.
Like,
We listened to the
he's kind of
pivot.
annoying.
I mean, a little bit.
It's not bad. He was
He's
just
spitting
like
some
He's
financial
very
game.
he's very much rich finance, bro.
he
Which-
like he taught he's got it down a little too much, you know.
But all right, 75.
Back
It's
on
not a
track.
bad thing. I'm just saying.
75.
Drew
We have Elton
Give me
Jenkins.
Arch.
One of
Number
the
75.
all right, guys.
Dude, if Arch comes to the Browns, dude, that's all I need.
So Elton Jenkins, one of the better guards in football, he's moving to the center, and he's going to be awesome in this LaFleur West Coast zone run scheme. Just the reach this guy has, he has one of the best reach steps in football.
I remember somebody asked one of their guards got hurt, and somebody asked Rodgers how he felt about having like a young guy come in. He's like, no, Elton Jenkins is like a guy.
Yeah.
It might have been on McAfee that he said that. He's like, no, like don't get it twisted. Like Elton Jenkins is a guy.
I thought he only says bad things on McAfee. Though.
He's a terrible teammate. So.
Yeah.
Who? Which guy?
Aaron Rodgers is a terrible teammate.
yeah.
So, and he hates Jordan Love, and he hates Will Howard, and he
Oh
hates.
yeah. I've heard those.
All right.
I've seen it.
Back to-
We'll pick up at number 74 next week. As we're leaving, though, rapid fire. Is Aaron Rodgers actually married? Josie.
Yes.
Yeah, he wouldn't
And-
lie. That'd be
What,
weird.
like, what does he have to gain from wearing a wedding ring saying he's
Be
married?
really.
Look, all I have
he
to say
is.
is-
He
Because
is. I like him. I don't mind him. He will go to my least favorite player in the NFL history.
If he lies.
Favorite's not true.
Because that is
Listen,
weird.
all I gotta say is
That's
like
like
weird.
middle school energy of like I'm married and then not being
'Cause, like,
that.
I have a girlfriend in Canada.
Because like
Yeah,
this is
so-
like
Manti-Teo.
because like if people say, oh, he's doing it for attention, he doesn't need to do that to get attention. Like he can go on McAfee, he can do whatever. Like he can literally go on any
Take a
media
shot at
tour.
Jimmy Kimmel.
Any media outlet would love to get him on their
Like,
show
forever
if he
take
went
a shot
on.
at
So like
Jimmy
he doesn't
Kimmel, I
need
can't
to
stand
do
that.
something like that.
all I gotta say is the fact that the media members think that they have some right to know about his personal life is absolutely insane
Yeah.
to me. And the fact that like even if they did find out about it, they'd find something new to hate on him for, or they'd hate on
Sure.
his wife, or whatever it is. Like they would find a way to do it.
Right.
Like if I was him, I'd be in the same boat. Like what you don't. F you don't deserve to know about my personal life. I don't care.
So what
Like,
if she's 17 years old?
All right, this has been the Second and Short podcast. We'll see you next time. Shout out Cooper.